Tame Impala has made a name in the music industry for its unique psychedelic sound, but with the release of his new album, many fans became upset. With criticisms of his new music sounding soulless, it doesn't seem like Kevin cares anymore. And you know what? Maybe they're right. Tame Impala rose to popularity in the 2010s for Kevin Parker's vintage trippy style. Did you know it's just one guy? He took inspirations from early psych rock music like The Doors and the Beatles, but it was still unique.
And I really do have to give these guys some big ups for recreating this sound authentically and not making it sound like just simply a shtick or a routine.
The collective created a sound much different from what was in the mainstream at the time. But after the buzz of Inner Speaker, their second record, Lonerism, further left a good impression on audiences. Years later, Tame Impala shifted music entirely with the release of Currents. Audiences were thrown off. Currents left Lonerism's rock and roll use of fuzzy guitars and transitioned to an ethereal atmosphere with the heavy use of synthesizers. Kevin was consumed by perfection. He locked himself in the legendary Wave House and refused to leave until the album was finished.
If I'm not completely consumed by it and like just sort of felt like I've dropped off the face of the earth in doing it, then I haven't gone deep enough.
Over the next few months, Kevin was obsessed. By the time the label requested the final product, Kevin was nervous. He couldn't tell if the album was trash or a masterpiece.
You know, releasing Currents was like, oh God, am I doing the right thing?
But once released, Currents was a game changer. It was this perfectionism that you could hear through Kevin's work that made us all fall in love with Tame Impala. It seemed like nobody cared more than him. Then the fourth studio album, The Slow Rush, helped further launch Tame Impala into the mainstream.
This is the album Slow Rush, here with the song Lost in Yesterday, Tame Impala.
While Tame Impala toured and released a few singles, another 5 years passed, making fans wonder, where is the new album? July 24th, 2025, Tame Impala makes a special announcement. A new era begins. This is the first thing I want you guys to hear. I give you End of Summer. Fans were ecstatic. This was a clear sign that a new album was on the way. Finally, a new collection of songs that we could listen to for the next half century. But things were different. End of Summer abandoned Tame Impala's notorious funk psych wave sound from the Slow Rush and Currents. It was house music, minimalistic drum and bass with the occasional synth. Sure, Tame Impala has a history of altering their sound, but this time Kevin was different. He cut his hair. He had an aesthetic of someone who just washed up from Burning Man. He was also spending more time DJing and doing less concerts with a full band. Did Kevin stop caring? A few weeks later, Tame Impala announced the official title of their fifth studio album, Deadbeat. What? Kind of odd given that the previous albums could be titles for chapters in philosophy. Also, the album art was fine, but again, this was the expectation we had. Of course, the album art isn't always a reflection of the music. The album will still be good, right? As the album rollout continued, things were not looking good for Tame Impala fans. Loser was the second single of the rollout. Although it contained a classic Tame Impala sound, it was underwhelming. The lyrics were a bit corny and the production didn't really make up for it.
What happened? Tame Impala, how did we get here?
On top of that, the Deadbeat US tour was announced, and it was extremely small, with most shows being in California. It could literally fit on a post-it note. And with less dates, that means Ticketmaster jacked up the prices because of the high demand. Fans were begging Kevin to add more dates. Then on September 26th, the third and final single of the album was released, Dracula, which is arguably the best single from the album. Although it was better than the End of Summer and Loser, it was still a little corny. It seemed like a gimmick, a way to receive Halloween residuals like Michael Jackson's Thriller. But like I said, it's a great song. And with this, it gave fans hope. Maybe the rest of Deadbeat will have a similar sound to Dracula. I mean, the album rollout for The Slow Rush included Borderline and It Might Be Time, and these weren't necessarily the best songs on The Slow Rush. So maybe it's the same case for Deadbeat, right? Deadbeat was out. A reflection of old and bad habits that directly affect relationships. And let's just say that album was controversial.
I just feel like this record is not it in the slightest.
How did one of my favorite artists start making music that I just couldn't care less about?
Lyrically, it's like really poor. And I don't even go to Tame Impala for lyrics, but goddamn, like it gets pretty bad in places.
Fans were were divided. While some loved it, many hated it. Much like End of Summer, Deadbeat abandoned the indie rock sound for the lonerism and inner speaker fans, and it also had less psychedelic funk elements for Currents and Slow Rush fans. There were minutes that almost felt endless with drum and bass that had no lyrics to fill the space. If you're an EDM fan, you might like this album, but not all Tame Impala fans like EDM. With this long-awaited release, listeners continued to question, does Kevin even care anymore? The answer, yes and no. The criticism was loud, and Kevin heard it. He posted on Instagram, "Just remember guys, when it comes to music, everyone's allowed to think whatever they want to think." This statement made it clear that Kevin was aware of Deadbeat's criticism, and he doesn't care, or at least he's trying not to care.
All the feelings that I've had in my life of like being a dropout, being a deadbeat, being hopeless, being a space cadet. Me calling the album Deadbeat is kind of like it's like glorifying it. It's like a celebration of it.
Deadbeat is a celebration of being inadequate. Nothing will ever be perfect, but sometimes you just need to let go of your inhibitions, like Kevin did with this album. Instead of draining his soul over obsessing over perfection, he just released his best. While Kevin tries not to care about the criticism, he does care about growing as an artist.
If I didn't care about the music anymore and I just wanted to make money and sell albums, the way that you would know that is if I just did the same thing again.
Yeah.
Tame Impala is known for pushing boundaries. It seems like people tend to have expectations with music, assuming the next album will sound similar to the last. But it seems like Kevin tries to break those expectations. And now that expectations are broken, who knows? Maybe the album will grow with time. In the response to the criticism of Deadbeat, Kevin also posted on Tame Impala's story an old review of Currents. Hardcore Tame Impala fans could find it pretty easy to slam the new album Currents. There's little in this album that is reminiscent of anything fans fell in love with about Tame Impala in the first place. I wouldn't even give it a second look. Now I'm sad. This review was bad at the time, but Currents has turned out to be one of the greatest albums of all time. It could be the same case for Deadbeat. I was also caught off guard by the album with it being less pop and more EDM. Of course, there are tracks like See You Monday that I'm still not crazy about, but again, after a few listens, I'm hooked. Deadbeat is most likely gonna be in my rotation until the next album drops. Whether or not Deadbeat is ahead of its time, one thing is certain. Tame Impala doesn't care about commercial success. Kevin is here to push boundaries and contribute to the growth of modern music.